Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dirty Hurts podcast. I'm your host.
Hold up. Are you not doing the intro music?
In post, I am.
Okay, start over. Sorry, I fucked it up.
Now we're keeping it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dirty Hurts podcast. I'm your host, High Fives.
I'm Slow Boy.
And as always, we appreciate you all for hanging in with us. We got a nice little special guest for you for the 50th episode.
Oh, this is the 50th.
We were saving the big 5-0 for a special guest, and today we have a local legend here.
I'm not that old.
Local legend. I didn't say old legend. Give it up for Matt Ramsey.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are we using superhero names? I heard superhero names.
Yeah. Well,
I'm Ramzilla. It's my trap name. There's V's in there. We can spell it out. Can you put that on the screen?
Yeah, we could add some Rapzilla. Mattzilla?
Yeah.
Ramzilla.
Ramzilla.
Yeah.
I got it all wrong. I'm
Not to be
over
messed
here.
with.
So how you doing?
I'm good, man.
Appreciate you coming on. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've talked about it for a bit, and
Yeah.
I've been a fan of the show a little bit, and I've
Appreciate it.
seen some episodes, listened to some episodes more so, to be honest.
Appreciate it. We'll take any viewer or listener we can get.
Yep.
But yeah, we've had some artists on here, and we really wanted to switch it up and get someone who was on the opposite end of the decks, I guess to say.
yeah,
Someone who, puts the shows together, someone who just promotes, or even just anything in general that's not a producer, pretty much. Because, we could talk to a producer any day.
Yeah, well, some of the people we had on here, Mark Instinct, or known as Sister Mary now.
Sister Mary.
And
He's a buddy of mine.
Cyber Optics. Yeah.
Also, he's a friend of mine.
Yeah,
I'll
that
call
was-
him a friend. I'll go that far.
That was
that's
cool.
the reason they were on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, a lot of the shows we talk about and things we've done are a direct result of what he's built over, is it 14 years now?
14 years today.
Yeah.
Actually.
Damn.
14 years today, which is great with the 50th episode.
Yep.
I was telling Mike, I didn't even realize it until my Facebook memories came up. 14 years ago today, I did my very first show, August 23rd, 2008.
23rd, yep.
I liked looking at that flyer and how it had like the description of what kind of music they were. And it's like, you know what? They probably needed that back then.
It was a different time. It was
Yeah.
a different time back then. Not everybody had all that information. A lot of people did, though. It was a time before a lot of the internet and social media stuff that we have now. So
Passing
people
out flyers.
that readily available information just wasn't at your fingertips like it is now. Like if you say, "Oh, I've got High Five, Slow Boy," like boom, I can look you up. I can find your Facebook
Right.
page, your Instagram, your Twitter,
SoundCloud, something.
like that. You didn't have that back. Even as not as far back as 2008, you just didn't have artists just
harder.
weren't as online. And
Right.
a lot of the DJs that were prevalent back then that are still considered legends and whatnot, even now their social media is weak because
Yeah.
that's not their game.
Yeah.
That's not their thing. These young kids have come in and made social media like that's they're on social media before they produce now.
Exactly.
Before they DJ even.
What was that?
Oh, that is automatic
it's
cat
automatic
feeder
cat.
going.
Yeah. I was about to say, what the hell is that?
It's a
We're
good thing I
possessed.
locked them up
Right.
because we'd have a race here.
Yeah, it would
3
be
cats
just
jumping over all the
fighting.
equipment to get to the food.
It's too wild. I was going to say,
Make it rain.
Yeah.
more food. Cheeto's probably freaking out right now.
We got a cat right there trying to
Really?
checking it out. Yeah, there's a cat
shit.
looking in the window like, what the
The
fuck?
neighbor cat even heard that, huh?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like ready to feed.
Or these fans for the podcast.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, like,
Trying to get a glimpse
got a
of
live
Ramzilla.
audience.
Yeah, exactly.
We heard he was in the block.
But yeah, I pretty much grew up, through social media. Like, I remember when Twitter first started. I remember when Instagram first started, and I was, Snapchat, everything. I know you guys too, but I was so into the social media stuff. I was always posting, just random shit for no reason, even before I was a producer. And now that I'm like super dead serious about it, I've been since I've started, obviously, but over time I kind of just like fell off with posting. and I feel like it's definitely like hindering me in a way, because there's a lot of artists out here, even local guys, who are just posting a bunch and they get that interaction, and it's like more people are going to see your stuff and they're more inclined to probably even click the link to listen to your stuff. And you know, it's a blessing and a curse.
It's a balance.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a balance. It's kind of like MMA. You know, you've got your guy that can stand up and box. You got your guys that can get on the ground.
Yep.
You got your guys that can kick. You know, if you can do all of that, and you're the total package, those are the guys you know about.
Right.
At least now, so the Hoist Gracie, and I don't know. I'm not going to get into all the MMA stuff, but some of those old school guys weren't like that. And now, today, you've got to be, social media guru. You've got to be, or at least starting off. We'll say starting off, because once you get going, you've got teams that handle that stuff. I deal with teams for some of these bigger artists. I've been dealing with their team completely until day of show, and then that's the only time I even talk to the artist is day of show. Whereas before, I've got their marketing person's hitting me up, I've got their agent hitting me up, I've got their manager hitting me up, and there's like some of these guys like Peekaboo and some of these bigger ones, they've got a full entourage of a team, and I deal with different people for different things depending on what it is. Whereas, the up and coming producer, you've got to do all of those things.
Everything.
And it's good to know how to do those things.
Of course.
Even if when you get bigger, you don't do them, it's good to know how.
Yeah.
And that is part of the game. And unfortunately, and that's honestly how I got into it, is I'm not a camera person. I don't want to be on stage.
You're right.
This is a little weird for me.
It takes a second. Yeah.
I'm a marketing guy, so I like to point at other people. I like to go, this is the guy.
Yeah.
It's never, this is the guy.
Right.
You'll never see that come out or hear it come out of my mouth. That's not me. But that's been my talent, and what I've brought to the table is being able to put a pretty bow on it and package it and sell it to people.
Yeah.
Sell the tickets and whatnot.
Marketing is a huge talent that it's just like,
it's another talent.
Yeah.
It's just another thing.
It really is.
It's, you were talking about the opposite end of the event spectrum. For me, it's a very symbiotic relationship with the producer and DJ types.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say without me it wouldn't happen, but I do see a lot of without the DJ, the show doesn't happen. Well, without the person that put it together, without the person that the designer that made the flyer, the venue, the person working the door, the street team, everything that goes into it. There's so much, the production, the sound guy, it doesn't happen without all of those things working in harmony.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good to have a good team.
Absolutely.
Because, it's hard. I did a lot of it by myself for a very long time, and it was a struggle.
Yeah,
I would say, take us back to those days when you first started. Like go ahead.
I have to say, what was the change like for that? So if it was starting off without social media, I mean, I'm sure there was a learning curve, but did you see like a influx of attendance once you were able to tap that market, or was it just kind of smooth transition, same, just getting with the change, or what?
I'm a fairly adaptable person. I've had to face a lot of challenges in my life, personally, professionally, and I quickly learned that being able to adapt and adjust as you go, being able to critique yourself is a lot of that, and being humble enough to go, man, I screwed that up, or this could have been better. And then learning from that is really how the progression went. And social media was no different. Back when I started promoting, it was MySpace.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, MySpace.
My top 8.
I'd put you guys in my top 8 right now.
I appreciate that.
If I had a top 8.
Exactly.
And, we did a little MySpace. I did a lot of networking. That was a thing I learned from the first event to the second event, was how I needed to immerse myself in the scene a little more. But then, made the gradual move to Facebook once it became more of an open thing and not just for college students. I I just kind of learned as I went and started using the tools, and the more tools that were given to me, I learned how to use those. Outside of a few, I haven't gotten on TikTok yet. I've been resisting, but
It's coming.
I resisted for so long, and then one day I was like, you know what? Let me try it. You just do, honestly, if you just do like a day of, if you just do like a day of just TikToking and like liking or disliking things, for some reason, the next day it's like, oh, this is funny. Oh shit, this is funny.
Yeah.
Oh shit, this is funny. Oh shit. It's
Get
like,
your algorithm down, and
Dude.
you could spend hours on that
oh,
if you don't turn it off.
Yeah, I've killed an hour of just swiping up. I'm just like, how am I need to get off. I'm glad now some guy, it's like the TikTok page, they're like, you've been swiping for too long.
Yeah.
Go take a break and drink some water. And I'm just
Fuck
like,
that dude.
shut
I
up, dude.
just
I'm
go
about to
right
keep
past
going.
that's pretty funny.
I'm doing
Yeah.
another 20 minutes of this, dude.
Stop.
Yeah.
That's
Stop
I
what
mean,
you're doing.
honestly,
Need
that's what
that.
we need to be doing.
Yeah.
And back to, talking about taking time to produce and do things and
Yep.
work. It's a balance.
Yeah.
And you can't spend all day scrolling on social media. I catch
No.
myself doing it, and it's part of my job. And I'll catch myself like, damn, I've been going through Instagram
Yeah.
for 30 minutes now. Like, what am
Yeah.
I doing? I got to go do this other stuff. And
Yeah. Spend
it is
that
part
time
of it,
making
'cause
shit.
Right.
your algorithm is they've gotten really smart. The AI on those apps is insane. And you start liking stuff, they'll start showing you stuff that they
Yeah.
think you will like based
Yeah.
on what you've already liked.
Yeah.
And it's wild to me.
Yes.
It's insane. I'm sure there'll be studies way down the road that's going to show how much it's fucked us up. Can I say that on here?
Especially,
But-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Say any word.
Yeah. After 15 minutes, right?
Well, they.
Something like that.
Oh yeah.
We've
we're-
entered the cuss zone.
Yep.
I think it
good.
is. Whatever. We're not going to get monetized
Yeah.
anytime soon. But
You got me on here now.
right, it's gonna
it.
get boosted up. No, even because TikTok is from China. Even they don't even let their kids use it that much. Or if they do, they show them like science projects or people winning Nobel Peace Prizes. And then for America, they only have people doing dance moves and
Wrong one.
Just random-
Sorry, guys.
it was on me. And
Mood
like,
lighting.
right? But like random bullshit for us, like dancing or just stupid pranks or whatever. But then in China, they have like all smart people. I'm like, oh, look at this guy in tech, and he started a
Yeah.
business. And all right, you only been on for 20 minutes. Get off.
I've gone down the Chinese propaganda tunnel on there, and that's but I saw something too about how bad TikTok actually is with like watching what you're doing and learning about you and what I didn't watch the video completely. I just saw it. I'm like, oh, I want to come back and watch this.
They pretty much have access to your phone.
Instagram is emulating that as well now too.
Great.
They are trying to be they're trying to Facebook, Instagram, because they're the same.
You mean Meta?
Yeah,
Metaverse, Meta World Peace.
Yeah, I'm never saying Meta for Facebook.
Yeah,
Facebook.
I can't either. I get it in my email sometimes, but they are absorbing any sort of competition
Oh yeah.
or any sorts of bits. So they're doing the same thing, and that's why video has become so prevalent for
Yeah.
Instagram. They've learned that that's what people want.
Right.
They're taking our likes and turning that into showing us what they think we like.
Exactly.
And it's wild. I got on there and it annoys you. It'll automatically flip to suggested and not just who you follow. It won't just default to who you
Really?
follow. Yeah, I've switched it dozens of times and it switches back. And they keep wanting to show you these suggested feed, and they're all videos, and they're all, and it depends, you go through, sometimes it'll be DJs, but you go through like a breakup or something. That's when you notice it. It's like, oh shoot, suddenly I'm getting all these motivational, that person wasn't the one.
Right.
I'm just like, where did this come from? I'm
How
not
to
even
know you're
following
dealing
you.
with the narcissist.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. It's crazy, man. And I imagine TikTok's the same. I don't need that, man. I got,
It's a lot. For
I am
sure.
so busy, and I don't have time to get on another platform and do things. I know from a marketing standpoint, we probably should have someone on there, but
You're good. Our fact checker
We-
just pulled up.
Fact
We all
checker's
know
here.
Fact
it's
checker.
special guest
She's
MTB
Say hi. You're in Canada.
on her
now.
way to Dance
Fact
Festopia.
checker. What's good? on the road to Dance Festopia.
Yeah, the Yellow Brick Road.
follow the Yellow Brick Road.
So as annoying as that is, it also is beneficial to what we're doing, right? Because
It
that's
is.
how you get the ads in front of the right people.
If you're a producer DJ, if you're a promoter, that's not necessarily followed by everyone. If you do your social media right,
Yeah.
or I say right because stuff changes every
Correct.
week,
Yeah.
every day, every minute. I don't even know anymore. Keeping up with those trends and doing those things, it's how you get discovered
Yeah.
by someone that's not already following you or doesn't necessarily hear your
Right.
name. Your video could show up and you're like, oh wow, that's a cool video. Who is
guy
that?
looks cool or
like,
something.
oh man, that's high fives.
Right. What's this music about? And there's
Yeah.
like, no thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I did.
Right. They're like, no. I had to do one set or two or three.
Yeah. So
No.
bringing it back, I guess, to kind of the chain of events with things. What got you really going? I know I've heard about an infamous party you went to.
Oh, like how I started?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. I haven't told the story in a while, but it's a good one. Pay attention.
Exclusive?
This
Yes.
is I don't know if it's exclusive because it's been told before, but
Is it online?
no.
Exactly. There we go. We're getting the first of a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
I got to hear this after hours tearing shit down. That's
Yeah, it comes up every now and then, and it's crazy. I've always been a fan. I've always been a music fan. I don't know. Currently, I'll say I was a dancer. I used to dance all the time. Every now and then, you'll catch me busting some things out. But I used to live in the break circle.
Oh.
I lived there.
Like straight up like b-boying?
Yeah.
Wow.
And liquid was more my thing.
stay tuned to the end of the episode.
Yeah, we'll have a dance off.
You get that clip, we'll go viral. That's how I'll start my TikTok.
Exactly. Just do a head spin.
Dance. Well, I don't do all that, but I was a fan and I would dance. I would literally go to shows and dance. My group would come in, they'd follow me around. I would find my spot. I would start dancing. They knew they could drop their coats. That would become home base, and I would not move.
Oh, okay.
I would not move. People would bring me water, and you could base an event or how good an event was by how many times I went to the bathroom, because I would sweat so much and dance so much, I would not go to the bathroom. So if I went to the bathroom a bunch, that was a bunk ass party. Those DJs were whack. I couldn't get my groove. We'll go with that.
Yeah,
I couldn't get my groove,
Yep.
so I just wouldn't dance. But there were nights I would sweat, I would drink, I would chug water. And back at those raves, those were raves back then. They didn't have alcohol. I didn't really drink anyway. And I would just drink water. I would eat mini thins or ephedrine, like legal speed, over the counter speed, and just dance all night. And these were when parties would go till sun up, and then you'd go to the after party. Like, they were pretty intense back then. So I was always a fan, and I would help some promoter friends in terms of, getting flyers out, getting word out. There was a time I used to write, and I would write for promoters and review parties and get into them for free. That's how I went to a lot of events back in the day. I used to travel around the Southeast, especially when I moved to Memphis. I didn't know anybody.
Nice.
Excuse me. I didn't know anybody, so I would travel around, and I started writing for these blogs, and I would get into shows for free to do a review, which is really funny how it all ties into IndyMojo later. But this infamous party, I moved to Indianapolis 2005. I think it was, I don't have my dates exact, which is rare, but somewhere in spring of 2008, I believe it was, I was going to a party, which I only found out about because my friend from Memphis was coming to play.
Okay.
And I was just like, how come nobody knows about this?
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and it's promoted as a rave, which back then they were still underground enough to call them raves, but still kind of crappily thrown together, which it's a rave. Right. They were pretty, for all the nostalgia and people talk about them, some of them were just not good.
Damn.
They pride themselves on how underground and stuff it was, but some of them were just bad, and this is one of them. So my buddy's playing this party, and he's coming up from Memphis, and I'm like, well, dude, I'm gonna be there. Like one of my friends from Memphis. I'm not familiar with the promoter, a lot of the DJs. I wasn't really involved in the scene other than I'd go out every now and then.
Are you from Memphis?
Not. I lived there for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I got out of the Navy there. I was in the Navy.
Oh,
That's a whole
okay.
other story.
Okay,
But I was in the Navy and got out and then ended up moving here after a couple years. And so my buddy comes up for this party, and we go, and it's supposed to be a warehouse party. That's how it's promoted. There's a warehouse off Southeastern, and we're going, and we're looking for this place, and we cannot find it. And that is also old rave scene. That's just kind of how it was, with map points and directions, and you call the hotline, and you go somewhere and get another queue to go somewhere else, and like
a scavenger hunt type of.
Yes, it's exactly what it was. And that was their way of kind of making it hidden,
right?
So it wasn't plastered everywhere for the cops to find you. It's kind of the idea. Yep. And it's a very speakeasy style. Like, it was done in. Not to give the whole rave history. I don't want to get into all that, but it's how the gay scene was, and the circuit party scene, and it was taboo back then. So it wasn't. I mean, even much further back.
Right.
So they had to be that way, just because cops would fuck with them. Similar to the rave scene, when it started getting popular, drugs were heavy and stuff like that. So they tried to skirt it and not be in the clubs. Even as it got into the mainstream a little bit, there were still people that would pride themselves on being underground, just as we do.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Compared to back then, we're not, because we're in a bar that has drinks and things like that. But if you compare it to, Live Nation and some of these big money bars and clubs and things, like we're a lot more underground than people realize sometimes. And I will stand to that. So anyway, we go to this, we finally find this place, and it's not a warehouse. And I think that's why we couldn't find it, because we were looking for a warehouse, but it was a house that was worn down. Maybe that's what they meant. It was a duplex that had been empty for a while. Okay. And apparently there were some feral cats that lived there. It reeked of cat piss.
Oh, the worst.
I kid you not. To this day, I refer to it as the cat piss party.
Yeah.
And it was the cat piss party that smelled around the world. I roll up. It was an all ages show, which back then, that's what raves were. All ages. I knew so many teenagers, not here in Indy, but back in Memphis. Like, I had friends that were 16. It was wild. And these kids, 14. I knew a 14-year-old that used to come out to shows and would hang with 20-somethings, and that was just the scene. And looking back at it now, it's kind of like, do I want my son's 14?
Yeah,
like, I don't know how I'd feel, and he out by himself with these people. I don't know. There's no parental supervision. It was a different time. It was a lawless time.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
So anyway, we're in this cat piss party. It reeks, and there's like no one there except the 50 freaking DJs from the flyer, which it had to be every local DJ. And I'm sure if I go back and talk to some of the DJs that were around back then, they were probably on the lineup. There were that many people on this lineup.
How big was the place?
It wasn't big, but there were 2 rooms. They had two rooms set up. There was a drum and bass room, of course, and then the main room, and it was literally a house. But they took all the furniture out. There was a bathroom. It was BYOB.
Okay.
All ages.
Yeah.
I pulled up with a cooler, got beer. I drank back then, and I'm just like feeling really out of place, because by then, I guess I'm 30 something, 32. Maybe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my 30s.
Yeah.
And and I see little kids walking around. Like, they had to be teenagers. I don't want to say little kids, but they were,
still.
16. It's like
Definitely
going,
young to you.
it's like going to a punk show.
Yeah.
You'd see some kids, teenagers in there. That's where I came up in that scene, and just because I could get in there, you know, and it's all ages. Sure, I'm going. We'll go check it out. It's what we had to do.
Right. I'm 29 now, and I look at a 21-year-old, a 20-year-old. I'm like, you're a child.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. I never thought it would be like that, but then you just see them, you're like, oh shit, you're young as hell, and they're only 21.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you
It's
think
different.
when you're 21, you're an adult, you're a grown up. I remember when I turned 21, I'm like, yeah, I'm an adult, real adult now. I could get drinks and stuff, and It's weird. It's
Yeah.
so weird. But
Imagine me at some of these all ages shows now. I'm just like, damn, man, I need to go outside or something. Different time.
Yeah.
So we're at this show, and Robert Armani is the headliner. He's a Chicago gangster, so to speak. Like
shit.
he's Southside Chicago,
Okay.
techno, like just straight up. You don't want to fuck with this dude.
Damn.
You know.
Okay.
That's
Hardcore.
that's who was here a while back, right?
Yeah, he
Like,
came well back. I ended up
maybe
not
a
being able
year
to make
ago
it
or
to that
something?
show. Yeah. I want to tell him this story one day, but
We'll send him a link.
so at some point,
Times.
you know, the DJs that came from out of town are getting a little antsy, and you could tell. Like, I'm friends with my friend was there, and we were hanging out, and he was just like, "Bro, I don't know if we're gonna get paid. There's like nobody here.
Right.
Like everybody that's here is playing." It was a little strange, and I remember at one point being outside with my buddy Nate and Robert Armani smoking a blunt, and they're talking about what they're gonna do if they don't get paid.
Oh God.
And it was like, you know, back then it was customary. You're not getting money. I'm taking your turntable. I'm taking your mixer. I'm taking your gear, and I'm gonna hold that until you pay me. Damn. That's just
Wish you could do that.
that
now.
was the game.
Get canceled if you do that now.
I'd like for somebody to try to take my CDJ.
Right.
You'll see that old school me come out.
It'll really come out. Can't touch the CDJ.
But this place, and I'm standing out there with those guys, and I'm like, man, I don't know why this party is here. There's a nice club downtown, and at the time, that was Club Therapy, and I'm like, this is embarrassing. I was embarrassed. Here's my friend coming to Indy to hang out and play. Yeah. Robert Armani came down from Chicago, and he was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm just embarrassed for this city. I'm like, this is unacceptable.
Right.
And
Cat piss. No one's showing up.
Oh, dude.
like-
even then not showing up, I've had empty parties. I've had stuff. That's just part of the game.
Same. Yeah.
But yeah, the whole cat piss thing, the location, they worked so hard to be underground that it didn't deserve to be above ground. It was not for. It was not for. I don't know. I don't want to beat it up too bad, but
Good thing there wasn't much attendance.
It was a good thing for the city ultimately because it inspired me.
Yeah.
It told me something needed to be done. I've always been one of those people that I'm a put up or shut up person.
Yeah.
You know, people yap my ear off all the time. Bro, you should do this. You should do that. I'm like, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing it?
Right.
And, you know, I don't mean to be a dick about it,
Right,
but it's
but
like,
hey.
dude, it takes effort. It takes work. You know, ideas take, you got to put the labor in, you know?
It takes time.
And
sure.
rather than sit there and bitch about it,
Yeah.
although I did bitch to my friends that night because I was just appalled.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I was appalled by it. And it led me to figure out, I was like, I know I can do better than this.
Yeah.
We deserve better than this. And I put together a show that summer, August 23rd, 2008.
Hey.
At Club Therapy, which I know, I know now why they didn't want to use Club Therapy. They weren't real friendly with ravers, and they wanted to kind of distance themselves from those people.
Right.
They weren't all ages. It was 21 and up.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
typical bar club rules.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But it was still, it had a good sound system. It didn't smell like cat piss.
Perfect. Already 2 pluses.
Yeah. It was a nice club. And at the time, it was kind of hidden away. So it still had a little underground vibe.
Yeah.
It wasn't a mainstream club by any means.
Okay. Where was Club? Would you say Therapy?
Therapy. It's all different now, but it was on Market Street.
Market Street. Okay.
At that time, the 70 overpass went right through there.
Whoa.
Not far from where Market Square Arena used to be.
Okay.
That wasn't there at that time, but kind of where Market Street would go, and then you could just get up on the interstate.
Oh.
Like, I think Ohio is now.
Okay.
You know where it's Cash and Carry warehouse is right there
Yeah,
on that
okay.
corner of College and
Yep.
is that Market? I think that is
I don't know
Market
the streets,
there.
but I
That
think I
used
know
to
what
be
you're
the
talking about.
overpass to get on 70.
Oh, okay.
Right under there was Club Therapy.
Oh, that's kind of cool. A little hidden. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And it was kind of tucked away, but still like in the heart of downtown.
Right, right.
Just north of Washington, I think is where that is.
Yep.
Not far from here, really.
No, it's just down the street.
And
We'll cut that out.
oh,
It's all right. Come to my house. I'll be waiting.
we'll show you what happens. And put together my first show. Wasn't thrilling, but I brought a couple of my friends from Memphis and Seth Nichols, who at the time was like a top.
Just kidding.
Was a top techno DJ.
Dope. Okay.
Techno tech house, and owned the local record store.
Nice.
In Beach Grove. I forget what it was called, Evolve Records at the time. When he took it online, it turned into Love Vinyl Records. But he was one of my personal favorites, and had a little popularity to him. So I wanted to get some out of town. The whole idea was not to bring big famous guys. It was to bring just a new name, a fresh name.
Yeah.
So I brought my buddies up from Memphis and paired them with a local just to make it, something new and shiny.
Yeah.
And I promoted the crap out of it. And I think I had at the end of the night, I think I may have had I had a sponsor. That was cool. For a first show, you don't see a lot of that.
Yeah. When you mean promote, what was that like back then? Was it like flyers?
Oh yeah,
just a bunch
flyers
of
and
flyers.
MySpace.
MySpace
at the time.
You were talking the other day with Rudy about how it was this in that time where it's like, we're so used to it being all about the DJs and just staring at the stage right now, which seems weird to people that were around then.
Yeah.
Was that still that kind of changing then, or was that?
I think more people danced back then.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to young kids now, but they just kind of bob and weave and throw their hands in the air.
Yeah.
There's some dancers, but it's not
sure.
like it used to be.
hands up.
And especially as a dancer, you don't see break circles anymore.
No.
Not at our shows.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. And when I started doing events, if I saw dancers, I would guest list them.
Damn.
But that's how rare they were here.
I just start dancing more. Shit.
No, I mean like the good dancers, Seth. You're gonna have to work on your TikTok game.
Really
And I'm not talking about your choreographed TikTok crap either.
Shit.
These are like the breakers and poppers, and
I used to have a decent little footwork.
I used to go. In fact, Thursday nights at the Casbah,
The Casbah.
Top Speed. That was his night
Okay.
for years, and it was a breaker bar.
I
It was
remember
straight up. You would go down there, and it was nothing but a break circle.
Oh, that sounds
And I
so
mean,
awesome.
there were people that would travel from out of town
Oh.
and show up, and there would be battles. There would be some of the best dancers I've seen in this state. There was a whole crew up in Fort Wayne.
Well,
They had some girls too, and they were
Damn.
badass.
at
Fort Wayne was
Orange.
getting it then too.
Was it Orange when
Yep.
Top Speed and Buck Rogers played together? I saw that. They brought out cardboard and everything, and I was like, shit. I never see this at shows.
I've
and
never.
These guys were like
Yep.
fucking dancing.
There's a whole scene here, but they aren't, at least here, they aren't as into the electronic scene, so you got to work to get them out. I'm not as in tune with it now because they're few and far between, and some of my guys that used to dance, they've all moved away. I'm sure they're still here. There was a whole scene at IUPUI for a while, but that's who I would guest list. Not here's this cute chick, give them a guest list.
Yeah.
I'd give the dancers a guest list
Hell
because
yeah.
that's what I want to see is people dancing on the
Right.
dance floor, and not just the whole I'm
Right.
waving my hand.
Right.
These are legit.
They're gonna push you out of the way.
Legit
so you could,
dancers.
get going. I mean, when there's dancers in the crowd, it inspires other people to move.
Yes.
It really does.
Yes.
Because there's some times where I'm just usually more so at festivals, I'm more wild. I'll be out there just doing something stupid.
Why do you think that is?
Less people I know, maybe, because I get a little bit shy.
The inhibition drops.
Yeah,
There's more people in general.
right.
Yep.
So there's less that you
Yep.
lose that inhibition that
Yep.
keeps you from doing it.
Right.
So when some guy's out there getting all the attention, pop locking, break dancing, whatever
Yep.
he's doing, at first you're gonna be like, shit, I can't do that.
Right. Right.
And you may not get out there.
Yeah.
But as people surround him and do that, they're not paying attention to you anymore.
Exactly.
And that stuff matters.
Right.
as a promoter,
Hell yeah.
That's as a dancer,
Yeah.
that mattered to me. And as a promoter, I wanted to see more of that.
Right.
So, back to that party, I had like 120 people, I think, something in that range. It wasn't much more than that if it was, but it was over 100. And I was discouraged. I was a little disappointed. I'm like, damn, I thought we could have done better. Like I knew, I promoted it pretty heavy. And at the end of the night, the guy that was running the club at the time came up to me. He's like, dude, don't be discouraged. I didn't know a single person here, and I know everyone in the scene.
Oh, damn.
He's like, you brought 120 people that had never been here. And that is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah.
And that encouraged me a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what it told me was that I needed to be in the scene. I couldn't just be a guy that put a fucking flyer up that said, come to this show, and people would show up.
Yeah.
I knew I had to immerse myself in the scene. And that was in 2008. My son was born that spring. So I was a little busy and I was able to do this show, but it took me a while to come back to it. And I actually got laid off from my job the next spring. And I decided while I was looking for a job, collecting unemployment, I would do it again, but try it a little differently.
Yeah.
And that summer of 2009, I got on the IndyMojo website, which at that time was just a message board. They were party starters. They were bar promoters. They would take over Land Sharks or the Ugly Monkey.
Yep.
Or
the Ugly Monkey.
Yeah, the Ugly Monkey. A lot of people probably aren't old enough to know what the Ugly Monkey is.
I don't know that one.
It was basically across from Lucas Oil Stadium.
Oh, okay.
Right there on Illinois and South Street.
Okay.
Right on the corner.
Okay.
It was considered like an off-strip club. So it was ratchet.
Yeah.
Like how the clubs downtown or on Meridian are very like prim and proper at that time. No hats, no change. You couldn't do whatever. Ugly Monkey had other rules or no rules. It would get wild in there.
That's what I heard about
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Not really my scene, but that's what IndyMojo did. They would the bar would pay them to say, "Hey, this is the spot," and they would roll deep. And I'm talking like a couple hundred people.
Damn.
Because they would promote it on their website, and everybody. It was It was before everyone had Facebook on their phones. People would use Facebook, but it wasn't as mobile.
It was computer.
Same with MySpace. Everything wasn't mobile then.
No, yeah.
So, IndyMojo was kind of like that off the beaten path where big companies would, they called it Indy's online playground, because the big companies would block MySpace and Facebook, so you couldn't use it at work. But they didn't know to block IndyMojo because it wasn't big enough to really know.
Right.
So locally, you could get on IndyMojo, it would have lists of events and things like that, but then they had the ones that they would promote. Land Sharks on Wednesdays. They did Wild Wednesdays at Land Sharks for like 6 years, I think, which at the time was a long time. And they would get buck on Wednesday nights, and I would go to try to like hang out, talk to them, like, here's my flyer, come to this stuff that's way different than this.
Yep.
Not top 40 at all.
Nope.
And it was an uphill battle. I got on there and I got on the website and I would promote my show, and people were like, oh man, this is different. But they would kind of like look at it and go, but that's not what IndyMojo is telling us to go to. So, whatever. So I got a few people from that from a show. And that's when I met Jason King that summer. He was a newer owner of IndyMojo. And he was like, dude, you've got to come out and meet these people. You got to come out. If you want them, you got to, So I was working on the underground scene. I was going to all the shows. I went to every show. Damn. All of them.
Okay.
Which at the time there weren't as many, to be fair.
Still.
And I went to all of them. The weeklies. I went to Slater's events. He was doing a Sunday night thing up in by the Fashion Mall.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember. It was Lulu's, I think is what it was called. Okay, he'll probably remember better than me. But that's where I met Slater. I went and met every promoter. I introduced myself to every DJ. Nice. Like, oh, you spin? Like, what do you play? Just start a conversation. I moved here from Memphis, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Thinking about doing shows, or I've got the show coming up. And I just started like I was running for Congress. Not even kidding. And it was more of just like I wanted to meet these people. I wanted them to know who I was.
Right.
And that way I wasn't just a flyer on the wall.
Right.
Wasn't just like, here, come to this show. It was, there's this new guy in town that's doing shows, and he comes to all the events. He supports everybody. I even went as far, I was like sharing other people's events all the time, telling my friends about it. I would go out, I got laid off from my job. So I was going, there was a Tuesday night at the Mel called Juxtapose at the time. There was a bunch of different things, and I would go to everything, literally every single event.
Damn.
And just introduce myself, talk to everybody. And, it took time, but
Of course. Yeah.
I did my second show was a year almost to the date. It was like August 22nd,
Oh, okay.
2019. Not
Yeah.
even kidding. It was almost to the date. And it was up in Fishers at a bar called Bentley's, which I think is like a David's Cafe or something now. It was a stacked pickle for a minute. But it's up there on 116th in Allisonville in a shopping center. So trying to get people to go to Hamilton County was another situation altogether, which I learned. But I lived in Fishers.
Oh,
I just saw this bar, and they were doing hip-hop events and stuff, and I'm like, maybe they'll let me do this.
Yeah, we could do a little something.
Let me see what I can get away with.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
rave mentality.
Yeah.
Everything's a venue.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything's a venue.
Yeah.
And they already had sound.
Perfect.
They already knew they were already doing ticketed events
Yep.
and things. And I'm like, man, I'm from the neighborhood. Let me go talk to these guys. And I did a show up there. I probably had 150, 200 people. I charged like $3 or something crazy.
I mean, that's a good
brought
turnout.
up another friend from Memphis to headline with a couple locals. But still in my mind could have been better. And that's when I went to Jason. I'm like, how do I get these other people? I've got like some of the rave kids. At that point, I'd kind of had a little, not really, I don't want to say a following, but people that wanted to come out because they wanted to play. Here's another promoter that I can talk into playing for,
So how was that like with the amount of DJs spinning that kind of stuff at that time? Were a lot of those like top 40 guys like, oh shit, I've been wanting to play this kind of stuff? Or did you find...
No, not so much then.
Was there like a select few that you had? I mean, it's a little different getting into it then also.
I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody. So I had to go, and that was kind of my thing back then, is I had to see someone play before I put them on a show.
Yeah.
And at that time, because I was going to everything, it didn't take long. I saw everyone. And I could see, and I'm a guy that likes, I like the humble performers, and
we all do.
Yeah.
Don't was never really into those pound my chest, typically male Neanderthal types, and there's a lot of those, and there's a lot of those still, and and I just, not that I can't get along with them as people, but that's not who I wanted to put on my stage at the time, and I liked the more quiet types. I learned sometimes they aren't the best promoters, which is kind of where I was like, you know what, I'm the marketing guy. I should be doing this. And and that was when eventually I started a crew, a collective of DJs and producers, and 99% of them were the quiet types.
Right.
Right. I can get to that a little bit, but I started promoting shows, trying to get people to come out. I knew I had some of the rave scene there, and what I needed was that something else. I needed more than just who's in the scene. I needed these extras, and that's where the IndyMojo stuff came in. And I went to Jason, and he was like, "You got to come out." So I started going to. I was, on top of going to everything in the rave scene, I started going to Wild Wednesdays. Started going to. Tiki Bob's, started going to, or it wasn't Tiki Bob's, it was Have a Nice Day Cafe.
Yeah.
I went
the
to
light up dance floor.
Yes.
I remember that.
Damn.
Smoking in that bar.
Yeah, it was wild.
The good old days.
It was some crazy shit went down in that place, notoriously. Like not good things.
Oh.
Well, we can edit that out.
That's a
But I got Jason to kind of sign off on it. And he showed up to an event and was like, kind of gave me a little nod. It was like, do you want to not do this at Bentley's anymore? How big do you want to go?
Oh, wow.
He's like, how big do you want to do this? And at that time, like, not a lot of people knew me.
Right.
And he liked that. He said he liked that because I didn't have time to make enemies.
Yeah.
I was new enough that people didn't hate me yet.
Right.
Yet. And he liked that. And I had an idea, and he had a new club that just opened. It wasn't his, but he worked out a deal. They were building the website for a True nightclub, which was in the heart of Broad Ripple. It's the old Eden or Seven. Slater had a residency there too, and it was like it had a mechanical bull when he was there, and I can't remember
Wasn't
what it
there
was.
an NBA player involved in
That was Jermaine O'Neal. That was when
Okay,
it was
yeah.
Seven. When when Jermaine O'Neal owned it, it was called Seven. That was his jersey number. So a new owner bought it after Seven, and it was called True, TRU, and they worked out a deal to build the website, run the social media, which is another part of IndyMojo. It's what they did at the time to help keep the lights on and things.
Yep.
And they worked out a deal with them to do all that stuff for them, and they would get a monthly show.
Okay.
To do whatever, and we'd get the door. So that's where the idea came, and Jason put the two things together. Here's this young promoter that no one hates yet.
Yeah.
He's got a captive audience to an extent,
Yeah.
and it's something different than the average crap that goes on in Broad Ripple.
Right.
Yeah.
No offense, Broad Ripple, if you're watching. I know you're not, but that's okay.
Right.
Just in case.
Just in case.
So now Jason's like, how big do you want to do this? Don't do any more shows at Bentley's. Come do this thing at this big club. And I'm like, now we're talking. Now we're on the strip. So now Matt Ramsey's out peddling flyers on Broad Ripple on the strip, 2 a.m., getting flyers smacked out of my hands. I was literally the entire street team. But I was out to do it, man. I was down to make it happen.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I mean, I guess most people can see the passion. If they can't, they're not paying attention.
Exactly.
I think I mean, it started with me handing out flyers, and it started at a cat piss party, but went to me,
Evolved to the flyer.
handing out
passing.
flyers
Yep.
in Broad Ripple, man. And these kids didn't give a shit. They were just like, what is this? And I'm like, let's go to something different. Boom. Like, you pay $10 to get in a Land Sharks. Here's a party for $5 at this club right here. And at the time, the club was new. So it was like a shiny penny.
Okay.
So our first show was in December 2009. After that show, I had a business card.
Nice.
Yeah. Stepping it up.
I had a business card, and I was officially part of IndyMojo, which at the time didn't mean the same thing it means now. But it really changed the direction of IndyMojo. We found that we could make money doing our own events instead of making all this money for these other bars doing top 40 stuff.
Right.
We could do something unique, and there was a demand for it. Yep. There were other promoters, and they were doing bigger things, you know.
Okay.
And we actually caught some heat. There was another promoter that was talking shit. I mean, there's always that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. There's always that. There's another promoter I remember talking shit about, like, when you guys gonna get some balls and book some big talent? I'm like, why do we have to? We're doing $5 shows and getting these people that don't know anything about the scene to come out to a freaking techno party.
Right. Exactly.
And at that time, it was a big techno and house scene in Indy. So it was techno, house, and then we did like drum and bass, and there might be one dubstep guy downstairs. Not kidding. The scene has flipped.
I was just gonna say the
completely
flip. Yeah. Okay.
You know, and we did a monthly at True for a few months. We did it till the next summer. But there's a break in there. April 8th, 2009, Bass Nectar and Major Lazer are at the Vogue. It's on a Thursday night.
Wow.
Yeah. Bass Nectar and original Major Lazer with Diplo.
With Diplo in it. Yeah.
I mean, it was to the point, just to give you an idea of how it was at the time, people argued over who should headline.
Damn.
That's how not big Bass Nectar was at the time.
Yeah.
There were the hipsters and indie rock kids were all arguing that Major Lazer should be headlining that show, and this Bass Nectar dude that they didn't really know about should be opening for them.
Right.
Which at that time, Major Lazer show, I don't know if you've ever been to one or seen one, it gets wild. It's Jamaican.
Right.
They do daggering, like they get up on ladders and jump off on people, and it's like, if you don't know what daggering is, I suggest go look up daggering.
Google some daggering. I don't even know what that is.
YouTube it, daggering.
Jeez, okay.
It's a wild party, basically, and it's a lot of like air humping and stuff. Like, I don't know how to explain it. That's the best description. Don't let that stop you from looking it up. You need to go look it up so you can see it for yourself. So there was a Thursday night, and at that time, there was a house night, a house and techno night at the Red Room on Thursday nights, run by Jack Shepler, and Taylor Norris, a couple of friends of mine, and at the time, and they were like, we should do an after party, but that's not our scene. We don't know anything about that. So they asked the Tuesday night guys, the Juxtaposed guys, to do it. They were, how do I put this? They were a group of DJs that didn't really know how to do a lot of events. They didn't have the cohesiveness to really put an event together. So they asked for my help, which at the time, I'm like 5 events in, I didn't exactly know what I was doing either. I'll be completely honest.
Just winging that.
When you give me an opportunity, I'm going to seize it, and I'm going to make it, I'm going to give it my all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, we were bringing up all my friends from Memphis, different things, and I'm like, who in Memphis makes dubstep? So that I could bring them up for this Bass Nectar after party.
Yeah, okay.
So I hit up this kid that no one knew, named Alex Epps, a.k.a. Cyber Optics.
Whoa.
Yeah, what episode was that?
He had just started making dubstep. He used to make trance. Don't tell him I told you that.
I'm definitely going to.
He used to make trance. He was an unknown, had a few tracks, had one on a label that was from down there, but he made dubstep. Yeah. That's all that mattered. That was my whole thing. Bring Shiny Penny, somebody from out of town that no one knows the name, that I can go, here's one of his tracks, here's 2 of his tracks, and go on. He came up, and we had a couple of our local guys play, and that were part of the Juxtaposed crew. And as soon as Bass Nectar let out, the Red Room was at capacity, like instantly.
Yeah.
And we were one of a couple after parties. But Red Room compared to a sold-out Vogue, which at the time the Vogue held like 700. It was before they took out one of the bars, so it was like a 700-800 cap at the time.
Okay.
But still, the Red Room was at capacity instantly. And right as Cyber Optics went on, that established him in our market really quick.
Oh, that's so sick.
Mm-hmm.
That's so dope.
But at the end of that night, it was the craziest thing we'd ever done, at least for me.
Yeah.
And for the underground, it was a big night. And Jason and I looked at each other, and we were like, how do we duplicate this?
Right. Excuse me.
That night inspired Altered Thursdays.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And by August, Altered Thursdays was born.
Damn.
So that's the history with Cyber Optics.
Sheesh.
That summer, he got signed to Play Me Records. Reed Speed moved him out to L.A., and he blew up.
Damn.
He was touring. He became a big deal, and we got him at the bottom.
Right.
So for me, my relationship with Alex, Cyber Optics, we were really running parallel lives. Back to the very beginning of our conversation, you're talking about being on opposite ends of the event spectrum. He and I bonded in that. Like, we started Altered Thursdays, and it became a thing. And he went on to write an album for Play Me, and was touring and playing some pretty big shows and festivals. And we kind of bonded from that. And he was the first out of town national act that we booked there, and we did it for free. We flew him in, did a free show, and it was nuts.
Wow.
That's what we used to do back then. We were afraid to charge a cover because it was new, and
Of course.
the history of Altered Thursdays is crazy. I could spend a whole freaking hour talking about that, but
Yeah.
but he was the first headliner that we did, and we did it for free. And I mean, he was a small headliner, but still,
But I
he
mean,
was an out of town guy on a major label at the time.
Yeah.
Pretty major. And in came the dubstep scene.
and then it just
That
emerged from then.
we built it. Well, we started it after that. The Thursday at the Red Room, they decided to quit that summer. They got tired of doing it. They all had, they had families. They had 9-to-5 jobs.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work for them. So we kind of waited because the Mousetrap was trying to get us to come in all that summer, and we waited for them to end because Slater was doing his Thursday downtown. They were doing Thursday in Broad Ripple.
Oh,
It's like I'm not going to do another Thursday night with
Yeah.
all that. The scene wasn't big enough to hold that. So out of respect, we waited until it's called the Get Down. The Get Down at the Red Room. When they ended, we picked up the torch, and that became indie, and we made it broken beats. It was a broken beat night, so it was dubstep, drum and bass,
Oh, okay.
break beat.
Damn.
Non-4 on the floor, because that's what Slater was doing downtown. So we were
Right.
like, let's,
Mix it
maybe
up.
2 house nights can't survive at the
Right,
same
right.
time, but
Multi-genre.
we knew there was a whole other demographic that wanted bass music. So that was August 5th, 2010. We started Altered Thursdays, and we
Damn.
took back to the humble part. We took basically the guys that were in the background in the shadows of the Juxtaposed crew from their night. They were a bunch of drum and bass and dubstep kids.
Yeah.
And we liked the guys that weren't pounding their chests and doing those things, and we made them our residents, and
Damn.
they became legends.
Sheesh.
I mean, instantly.
Yeah.
We put them on a pedestal, and our night took off. We had them play every week, in some sort of rotation.
Right, right.
One of them played every week was kind
Sure.
of the thing.
Yeah.
And they became like the top guys in the city really quick. I mean, they were really talented. They were
course.
just
Yeah.
quieter.
Yeah.
Synapse, he was just the quietest dude. They called him Dubstep Jesus because he had long hair.
Hell yeah.
And just had this whole he played like a lot of deep stuff. He'd play drum and bass, but he'd play some like really deep dubstep, which
Okay.
just had everybody swaying. It was a crazy time back then, man. And they became local heroes. Like, it was pretty cool how it all kind of came together. It's like people were waiting. People were waiting for that
They needed
scene to
some- yeah.
happen. And that's we tried to capture that Bass Nectar night.
Right.
If we're allowed to talk about him, I don't know, but
Yeah.
it happened that night. It happened, and it inspired so much, and that it all goes back to the cat piss party that launched 1,000 ships.
Dude, that's
it
so
it did it.
That's so awesome.
I get inspired by things like that, and when I get inspired, like, look the fuck out.
Yeah.
Camp Terror is the recent thing with that.
Yes, I
That's-
mean-
not to completely jump fast forward to now, but that is a passion project in itself. That is a lot of work. That
Which-
is years of accumulated effort and inspiration.
That's a lot of progress. I mean, it was a lot of time went by,
Yeah,
but still, it's just like the fact that we're even to Camp
Yeah.
Terror, which I'm super excited
And
about.
we're bringing Cyber Optics.
Cyber Optics is playing. Yep.
Get your
Let's
chance
go.
to check it out.
He's making different music now. He's doing a lot of synthwave stuff, making stuff for like movies and things. Like, that's
Yep.
kind of his niche now. But we had him up here last year.
Yeah.
It was last year.
Yeah.
He did a nice little hybrid
I'm so-
dubstep
Everyone was
synthwave
about it.
set.
I'm so
was
sad I missed
so
it.
well
Good.
done. So well done.
Everyone-
He's
everyone-
the sleeper on that lineup. When we announced that lineup, people got excited, obviously. His name came up more than most of like, holy
Really?
shit, I have not seen that name in so long.
Oh, that's so awesome.
That's why I'm glad we put him up in the rafters on
Yep,
that one.
yep.
That was a good. I just all credit to him, man. Well, not him. Between the two of us, like,
But
that was
still.
parallel lives, and
Yep.
he's from Memphis.
Oh, nice.
Just the roots thing, man. I try to give back to the people that inspire me.
just for the people who are listening right now, who are coming back and joining us, appreciate you. Who are some of the artists that are going to be on Camp Terror? You can name a couple off.
Figure
for sure.
We built it all around Figure. He's
Love
a friend.
Figure.
I've booked Josh since 2011.
Yeah.
That was when it's funny, he didn't even make dubstep before that. He was making like electro house or fidget house is what they called it back then.
Yeah,
He did a lot of hip hop,
I didn't
and
know
he
that.
would he did scratching and stuff. He's a turntablist.
I've seen him a few times in Chicago when he was doing the turntablist stuff. Turntablism.
Yeah,
I don't know what the word I'm trying to say.
turntablism.
Yeah.
It's a lot of syllables.
Right, but he was doing it with the Serato connected to the visuals.
Yeah.
So when he would scratch the visuals, I remember
sick.
it was at the Concord in Chicago, and I remember there was like this like Ninja Turtles part when he was scratching. They were like doing this little like jig. It was just so funny.
Yeah,
I love seeing Figure. I've seen him a bunch.
And it's going to be so perfect with it because I've always thought of him as like the equivalent of Rob Zombie for like electronic music.
Yeah.
With,
Yeah.
like the horror theme.
Yep.
dude, he writes.
Yep.
He writes for Universal.
Yeah.
He writes.
I just
he
found that
writes
out, like,
music.
For Hollywood
Yeah.
Horror
Yep.
Nights.
Yeah,
so
we need to get him
loud.
on here.
Please. That would be
I bet he'd do it.
God. That would be
I bet he'd do it.
that'd be a huge catch for me because I've
We'll do that.
switch camera. I've been, like I said, I've seen him probably even before here, 4 or 5 times at least
Yeah.
that I could think of off the top of my head. And every time I've seen him, just like, holy shit. I've seen him in Lafayette too, actually, at the Lafayette Theater.
Yeah, we helped with that show.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he, we built it around him, the horror theme.
Yep.
We wanted something unique, and not just another festival.
Yeah.
So we thought, we're all Halloween guys.
Right.
That was kind of our, I did the zombie walk for 12 years. We used to put the Broad Ripple zombie walk together. So
Is
blood.
that still a thing? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I don't know.
It was a charity event, and we just got so busy. It was really hard to do. It got so big that the Broad Ripple Village Association was cracking down on us. We had to get permits. We had to close off the streets. We had to pay this and pay that. And it got to where, even though it was a charity event, we made no money. And in fact, it cost us money.
Right.
We'd get T-shirts made, but they would be we'd get them sponsored, so that would help. So we wouldn't be out all that cash. Sometimes we would, but it was a lot of work for a great cause, Gleaners
Sure.
Food Bank.
Yeah.
And they're actually bringing it back this year.
Whoa.
We'll talk about that another time. But because it's the same weekend as Camp Terror.
Is it really?
Yes. But we're involved because we freaking do everything.
Just drop your donations off.
Yeah.
On your way to.
Yeah,
Camp
there you
Terror
go. Hey,
Studios.
we will accept all Gleaners donations at Camp
Yeah,
Terror as well.
There we go.
But we've done the zombie walk for a long time. So a lot of IndyMojo's roots are with blood and guts.
Yeah.
And Mike's a big horror fan, and it was
Sure
it was
is.
and obviously with Figure, it was a perfect little dynamic that we thought we could build something off of and be
Yeah.
something unique.
Yep.
We looked at a lot of artists that we felt fit the vibe we were looking for. Shanghai Doom. They
Perfect.
do their Halloween EP every
Yep.
year. Cyber Optics was a must. 100 Drums. 100 Drums was my. She was my. I don't even know what to call it.
Excuse me.
There's been the universe has had we've been on a collision course for a while.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I've just been wanting this to happen, and I've been working on it for a while. And then the dates lined up, and I was just like, I have to have her. And I went after her right after Figure. She was a must for me to get on there. So we confirmed her pretty early. Subdoctor was another one.
Yes.
He's a local favorite. I think a lot of people like him.
Yep,
He's
yep,
one of
yep.
those guys. He's got a lot of personality and just
He's real
charisma,
dope.
and just
Yep.
real cool with people.
Yep. Good music too. Great music.
Yeah, all of them. I'd say that about everybody. And it's a very, I think it's a very blue collar lineup.
Yeah.
Like
Hell
these
yeah.
aren't the pretty boys.
Right. Right.
These aren't the glam, big room dubstep guys.
Yeah.
Like they're the gritty, dirty.
Yep.
Their
Them
hands
underground
are
boys.
dirty.
Yep.
Yes, very
Yep.
much of that. And that to me fits us. It fits Figure.
Yep.
And that's what I wanted to build this event around. Without cat piss.
Exactly.
So I feel like we did a good job of making a pretty eclectic lineup. Not a lot of house, but there is house. There's trance.
Hey,
there's going to be a little bit of everything, I think.
I'm going to be playing some house.
Oh, you're on the lineup?
I believe so.
We didn't take him off the lineup?
I think I might be on the lineup.
You might be cut.
I was gonna say it after that.
With that, look out for that super group. Kill the scapegoat.
Kill the scapegoat.
Ooh.
Mr. Wizard,
Smiles.
high fives and smiles.
Yep. Appreciate you putting us on. That honestly, I was just like, hey, this might be the only opportunity to really get something going for us. And
Yeah.
It worked for me. It was able to. I put the 3 of you on one time slot, so it works.
Yeah,
and then
no.
you guys
Good
can get late
debut.
night sets.
Exactly.
We'll figure that out. Oh,
Yeah.
there's late night sets.
Yep.
Unannounced late night sets.
Oh my God, I'm really excited for that. But yeah, I mean, this is a great podcast. I appreciate you coming along. Wanted to wrap it up because
Oh, we had our time.
we had that hour 5.
Ooh,
I didn't even want to stop you because we were like, hey, maybe we'll do like a little 45-minute warning, but you were going with the perfect story. I was like,
Sorry.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say, no,
that
this
was
is
a long story, but it kind
No.
of it gets us to here, and a lot of these kids don't know my background, where I
Exactly.
came from. They just, I'm Matt Ramsey, who's
Right.
big corporate IndyMojo.
Exactly.
I came from the rave roots, man. I've been in this scene since 1995, and
Damn, son, the real rave shit.
how long is that?
It's 27 years.
That
27
was really
years.
good. I hope that was correct.
That was really. We'll take it. 27's my number too. So,
Damn, hell yeah.
it's come a long way. I've put a lot of work into it, a lot of passion, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
I've been married and divorced, and essentially married and divorced again. I'm single, ladies. It's been a long road and a lot of heartache, both with friends, with people we've lost.
Yeah.
Like they're dead now,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Rest
Yeah.
in peace
Yeah.
to all of them. Jose. I could name a few more. I'll save us the sad part. But we've lost some people, and it's not easy, man. And we've had to adapt. The communities come together. We've done charity events. We try to give back as much as we can.
Right.
And give back to a lot of the producer and DJ types that are
Right.
coming up. They're the backbone of this scene.
Yeah.
A lot of people give me credit, but I'm kind of the glue.
Yeah.
I kind of just glue and make sure, the scene stays safe. We keep dirt bags out and,
Right.
and
Exactly.
just not good people.
Right.
That's how the scene will thrive and go, is if we lean on each other and grow each other. And
Exactly.
that's all I try to do. And I think it helps that I'm a little older and I don't drink. I'm not out there partying
Trying to
and
party,
doing.
yep.
Man, there was a time that I could go on about
Try
that
to get
too.
down.
There was a shift somewhere along the way, and part of it came when I stopped drinking. I started taking it a lot more serious, and it became
yeah.
more professional. The shows got better, the shows got bigger.
Yeah.
We started doing a lot more, and I feel like a big part of that was me giving up alcohol. So not to get on that, but
Honestly, we're gonna have to have a part 2.
Yeah.
I could talk to you all day.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I didn't even talk
happen.
about Caspa. I didn't even talk about like some of those shows that just like really emboldened me and made me feel like I could do anything.
Right.
There's some of those, and that it's just like I get this fire. It's like the anniversary show every year for Altered Thursdays. It's the segue into the second half of the year, and the second half of the year is always nasty.
Yeah.
Because it just gives me confidence, and it becomes a snowball effect.
Right.
That
And-
stands true for this year for sure.
Yeah,
Too.
there's some big ones coming.
Oh shit.
I'm announcing
Yeah.
like 3 shows tomorrow.
Damn, son. As of
I guess by the time this comes out,
Yeah.
So Down will be announced.
a lot of these will be. I'm gonna try to get this out ASAP. So I gotta do a little bit of editing and
And go to work. And
yeah, I'm still on my blue collar shit. If you guys
Yep.
remembered,
It's all good, man. We
I'll
all
be there
are.
too.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, and to make
Yeah.
music on the side, and to take it from hobby, and that's what I had to do is a lot of work on the side, and that's really
Yeah.
why I've gone through those relationships. Is you know, it's not just one job. I got to do 2 jobs
Right.
and the family job.
Exactly.
And, you know, I don't think people realize that how much work goes into this. I'm not just sitting at my
No,
desk all day,
absolutely.
just like, I want to sell tickets, and I push a button and it
And
just,
then there it goes.
boom, there's the show.
Yep. If only.
I had to build a lot of these relationships from scratch.
Yeah.
And it started with me supporting every show, going to every show, supporting every DJ,
Yep.
getting to know every DJ and working my way up. And that became, now that DJ's Liquid Stranger, you know, now that DJ's, you know, 12th Planet, you know,
Jesus.
I have relationships with these people now because I've done it for so long.
Man,
That it's
so awesome.
it's nice, you know. I mean, I'm not calling Martin up and hitting him up and going, "Hey, let's hang out."
Right,
But,
of course.
but he knows who I am.
But you know, the
You know,
same
and
thing.
that stuff matters. It's
Exactly.
relationships over time. You're a good person long enough, people are going to remember that. You're a bad person, and remember that.